sprinkles, Santa Claus's special elf. Because everything is special with sprinkles. Santa Claus knows you're special too, and he has something to say to you. So listen close as Santa Claus shares holiday cheer with you. You can leave a special message for Santa Claus and get on the nice list at www.santaclaussays.net. Now here is the big man himself, Santa Claus!
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas to one and all, and to children from around the world, from every nation of the world, and from every inhabited continent. This is Santa Claus saying to you, for you to be good for goodness sakes. Santa Claus is here with you to share with you 3 things every day during Christmas time of 2023. Number 1 is to have good Christmas cheer. And my elf Sprinkles certainly helps with that, doesn't she? Isn't she wonderful? Then we also like to read an adventure story about Santa Claus, about me. And it's called The Life and the Adventures of Santa Claus by L. Frank Baum. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes. And we also like to read a letter to Santa. That's where I want to remind you that you can find out everything that you need to know or want to know about me, Santa Claus, at SantaClausSays.net. Santa Claus listens to you, to what you have to say. I've been returning text this week and emails, and you can contact me on my website, SantaClausSays.net. You can leave me a voice message, and I will hear your voice message. You can leave me a text, and many of you have been leaving me a nice text message on my purple cell phone. And I get those text messages right there on my purple cell phone, and I return those, or an email. And if you leave me an email, leave it at SantaClausSays.net, and then put the / and the word present, and that's where I will send you. You leave your email, and I will email you back with a gift for you. So that's what I'd like to leave for you. We also want you to know we got something special coming up this week here on SantaClausSays.net. On Saturday, the 9th of December, I'm having a special Santa Claus Says Breakfast with Santa Claus live. I'll be live on YouTube at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. And some of you will need to help get an adult to help you figure out what time that is where you live. But make sure you get on with me for Breakfast with Santa. I'll have my hot cocoa and my breakfast, my cookies, and I want you to have your breakfast with me. And we'll be telling Christmas stories, sharing Christmas cheer, and sharing your letters, and having some fun, maybe a game or two here on our Breakfast with Santa. We'll be doing that on December the 9th and on December the 16th and on December the 23rd, just before I leave to go on my rounds around the world to be with you here on SantaClausSays.net. You can join me at YouTube Live. You can go to Santa Claus Says at YouTube, and you can find that, or you can go to my website, SantaClausSays.net, and you can find everything that you need right there. It's because Santa Claus loves you and wants to be with you and have fun with you this Christmas time and listen to you. There is Sprinkles telling us with the chimes that it's time. It's story time, boys and girls. So let's listen now to our story. We've been reading the story for all this Christmas time called The Life and the Adventures of Santa Claus. The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus by L. Frank Baum. He also wrote the book called The Wizard of Oz, and you may want to check out that book from your library or find some place or read it together. Maybe have your moms and dads read it to you. It's a great book. And listen to The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, where I'm going to read. If you miss any of the episodes, the previous episodes we've had, you can go back and you can listen to the whole book here. Today, we're in the section of the book which is called The Manhood of Jesus. The Manhood of Santa Claus. And we want you to listen carefully to this. This is to chapter 2 of the second section of the book, and it's called How Claus Made the First Toy. It's a great story. We'll read the first part of this chapter here today. So let's begin. How Claus Made the First Toy. Truly, our Claus had wisdom. For his good fortune but strengthened his resolve to befriend the little ones of his own race. He knew his plan was approved by the immortals, else would they not have favored him so greatly. So he began at once to make acquaintance with mankind. He walked through the valley to the plain below, and crossed the plain in many directions to reach the abodes of men. These stood singly or in groups of dwellings called villages. And in nearly all the houses, whether big or little ones, Claus found children. The youngster soon came to know his merry, laughing face and the kind glance of his bright eyes. And the parents, while they regarded the young man with some scorn for loving children more than their elders, were content that the girls and boys had found a playfellow who seemed willing to amuse them. So the children romped and played games with Claus, and the boys rode upon his shoulders, and the girls nestled in his strong arms, and the babies clung to his knees. And the babies clung to his knees, wherever the young man chanced to be. The sound of childish laughter followed him. And to understand this better, you must know that children were much neglected in those days and received little attention from their parents. So it became to them a marvel that so goodly a man as Claus devoted his time to making them happy. And so those who knew him were, you may be sure, very happy indeed. The sad faces of the poor and abused grew bright for once. The crippled smiled despite their misfortune. The ailing ones hushed their moans, and the grieved ones their cries. Their merry friend came nigh to comfort them. Only at the beautiful palace of the Lord of the Lurd, and at the frowning castle of the Baron of Braun, was Claus refused admittance. There were children at both places, but the servants of the palaces shut the door in the young stranger's face, and the fierce baron threatened to hang him from an iron hook on the castle walls. Whereupon Claus sighed and went back to the poorer dwellings where he was welcome. After a time, the winter drew near. The flowers lived out their lives and faded and disappeared. The beetles burrowed far into the warmer earth. The butterflies deserted the meadows, and the voice of the brook grew hoarse, as if it had taken cold. One day, snowflakes filled the air in Laughing Valley, dancing boisterously toward the earth and clothing in pure white raiment the roof of Claus's dwelling. At night, Jack Frost rapped at the door. "Come in," cried Claus. "Come out," answered Jack, "for you have a fire inside." So Claus came out, and he had known Jack Frost of the forest and liked the jolly rogue, even though he mistrusted him. "There will be a rare sport for me tonight," Claus shouted the sprite. "Isn't this glorious weather? I shall nip scores of noses and ears and toes before daybreak. If you love me, Jack, spare the children," begged Claus. "And why?" asked the other, to his surprise. "They are tender and helpless," answered Claus. "But I love to nip their tender noses," declared Jack. "The older ones are tough and tire my fingers. The young ones are weak and cannot fight you," said Claus. "True," agreed Jack thoughtfully. "Well, I will not pinch a child that night if I can resist the temptation," he promised. "Good night, Claus. Good night." The young man went in and closed the door, and Jack Frost ran on to the nearest village. Claus threw a log on the fire, which burned up brightly. Beside the hearth sat Blinky, a big cat given him by Peter the Canuck. His fur was soft and glossy, and she purred a never-ending song of contentment. We're going to pause the story right there. This is the chapter about how Claus discovered making toys. And we're going to finish this chapter the next time we get together here on Santa Claus Says. So you want to be here as we finish this chapter on how Claus discovered making toys. Boys and girls, there is our Glockenspiel. And our Glockenspiel tells us that it is time now for our letter to Santa. Before we have our letter to Santa, I want to remind you that you can write me. You can contact me. You can give me your best wishes for Christmas. You do that at santaclaussays.net, and that's where you can leave me a voice message. You can leave me a text message, which I get on my purple cell phone, or you can leave me an email at santaclaussays.net/present, and I will send you a present in your email. I want you to do that. And don't forget, we also have our live breakfast with Santa this Saturday at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Hope that you'll join me for that at santaclaussays.net. Santa Claus Says at YouTube. Well, let's have our letter to Santa for today. It goes like this. Dear Santa, please bring me a Barbie doll, and I want to take good care of her. She can sleep in my doll bed and eat at my little table. Love, Susan. Ho, 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 ho. Susan, I got your wishes, and I always hear all the wishes of all the children around the world, and want you to know that one of the things Santa loves the most about Christmas is surprises. So don't forget about surprises in your life. Do good things for others, and so good surprises will come to you. So Merry Christmas, Susan. Merry Christmas, children of the world. And we look forward to being with you. And don't forget to leave Santa hot cocoa and cookies. Those are my favorites. The Glockenspiel says from Twinkles that it's about time to close this episode of Santa Claus Says. You can join me every day during the Christmas season of 2023, where we give you three things. We give you Christmas cheer, we give you a great story, an adventure story about Santa Claus, and we give you a letter to Santa. And also a reminder that this Saturday we have a live breakfast with Santa, where I'll be telling more Christmas stories and sharing some games and fun with you and some other interesting things, maybe even a guest here on Santa Claus Says Breakfast with Santa this coming Saturday, December 9th. It's also the December 16th and December 23rd at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Some of you may need to look at different time zones in order to understand what time to tune in. But you can always if you don't catch it live, you can always catch it right here on Santa Claus Says. But you can find this show on YouTube and on Facebook and on podcasts at Apple Podcasts, and certainly everything at santaclaussays.net. This is also where you can find out more about how I can personally come to your life with a personalized video or a personalized video chat, a Zoom call, and you can find out more about that at santaclaussays.net. Please remember, boys and girls, that Santa Claus loves you and listens to you and is interested in your wishes. I want to hear from you and share your good news with other people. So keep doing good things. Santa Claus loves you and listens to you. And until next time here on Santa Claus Says, please remember, Santa Claus says to always do good for goodness sakes. Merry Christmas, boys and girls. Ho, 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 ho. We'll see you next time here on Santa Claus Says.
You're special to Santa Claus, just like Sprinkles. Get on Santa's nice list at santaclaussays.net and watch Santa Claus Says on YouTube. Tell him Sprinkles sent you.